to the most holy place and opened the door to the holy by rejecting the distinctive message of the Adventist church. Are you with me tonight? Notice, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. Does that sound like a system that you would like to adopt the methods from? Evangelistic methods and worship styles? I don't think so. And yet many Adventist churches are opening the doors to all of these ideas that are coming from Babylon, that are coming from the synagogue of Satan. Ellen White has other early visions where she amplifies what she gave in pages 54 to 56. Allow me to read you one of these, which is found in early writing. And listen to this. It's pages, I believe it's pages 52 to 55, this particular passage here. She says this: this door to the most holy place was not opened until the mediation of Jesus was finished in the holy place of the sanctuary in 1844. Now notice this. Then Jesus rose up and shut the door to the holy place and opened the door into the most holy. Is that biblical? In the light of what we studied? Very, very biblical. And passed within the second veil, where he now stands by the ark, and where the faith of Israel now reaches. You see how she defines true Israel? What is true Israel? Those who go into the most holy place with Jesus. What is counterfeit Israel? Those who are left behind because they don't follow Jesus. She continues saying, I saw that Jesus had shut the door of the holy place, and no man can open it. And that he had opened the door into the most holy, and no man can shut it. And that since, now notice this, and that since Jesus has opened the door into the most holy place, which contains the ark, the commandments have been shining out to God's people, and they are being tested on the Sabbath question. Do you think it's a coincidence that the pioneers, they go into the most holy place shortly after 1844, and shortly thereafter, they're discovering, hey, we better take care of our bodies and our minds. Hey, the dead are really dead. Hey, the Sabbath is the day we're supposed to keep. Hey, the law of God is still binding. Well, folks, look at the hour of God's judgment is now in the most holy place. Do they suddenly start teaching a cluster of truth? Yes, because they've gone into the most holy, and when you go into the most holy, you see all of these truths as a cluster of truth, as a chain of truth, as Ellen White calls it. She continues saying, now here comes the chilling part. You remember those that were still before the throne? Remember those? Satan breathed an evil influence over them. Listen to what she says here. She says, the enemies of the present truth have been trying to open the door of the holy place that Jesus has shut, and to close the door of the holy place, which he opened in 1844. There's one individual, I could give you an example, Dale Ratzlaff. And I'll mention him, here, because he's gone on the record publicly in a journal called Proclamation, where basically he seeks to destroy all of the distinctive messages of the Adventist Church. In his journal or magazine, which he sends out, I believe it's a monthly publication, he attacks the state of the dead. He attacks the Sabbath. He attacks the law. He attacks healthful living. He attacks the ministry of Ellen White. You would have to attack Ellen White because she's too clear on what happened in 1844. You'd have to attack her also. The spirit of prophecy you would have to attack as well. Why suddenly is Dale Ratzlaff teaching all of these things and trying to shake the faith of the Adventists and lead them to leave the Seventh-day Adventist Church? It's because he's trying to shut the door to the most holy, and he's trying to open the door to the holy. And truly, Ellen White said that the greatest enemies of God's people will not be those who are outside, but those who were inside and have left. And if you can read in his publications the vitriolic hatred against Adventists, you would understand that Ellen White was right when she wrote this, because he is a living testimony to what Ellen G. White wrote. So he's a fulfillment of prophecy. She continues saying, now notice what happens as a result of trying to open the holy place and trying to shut the door to the most holy place. Here is the result. Now she's going to amplify that little statement about Satan breathing an unholy influence and people believing that it was the power of God, but it was really the power of the devil. Notice what she says. Satan is now using every device in this sealing time to keep the minds of God's people from the present truth and to cause them to waver. I saw a covering that God was drawing over his people to protect them in the time of trouble. And every soul that was decided on the truth and was pure in heart was to be covered with the covering of the Almighty. Satan knew this, she says, and he would work in mighty power to keep the minds of as many people as he possibly could wavering and unsettled on the truth. I saw that, now notice this, she's going to amplify what it means, the power of Satan being manifested among those who claim to be Christians. She says, I saw that the mysterious knocking in New York and other places was the power of Satan. And that such things would be more and more common, clothed in a religious garb, so as to lull the deceived to greater security and to draw the minds of God's people, if possible, to those things and cause them to doubt the teachings and power of the Holy Ghost. Are you understanding? You are the target of the devil, according to this. I'm the target of the devil. He's trying to disguise something which is led by him in a religious garb to make it look good when it's evil. Now, how does he do this? She says, I saw that Satan was working through agents in a number of ways. He was at work through ministers who have rejected the truth and are given over to strong delusions to believe a lie that they might be damned. While they were preaching or praying, some would fall prostrate and helpless, not by the power of the Holy Ghost, but by the power of Satan, breathed upon these agents and through them to the people. Is she commenting on that little paragraph? Remember the little paragraph at the end of that page 56 of early writings? Now she's greatly amplifying what that means. It says, while preaching, praying, or conversing, some professed Adventists who had rejected present truth, that's the most holy place message, by the way, used mesmerism to gain adherents. By the way, today it would be called neuro-linguistic programming. More sophisticated term, which was used for quite an extended period, even within conferences of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She continues saying, while preaching and praying or conversing, some professed Adventists who had rejected present truth used mesmerism to gain adherents, and the people would rejoice in this influence, for they thought it was the Holy Ghost. Is she commenting on that little paragraph in early writings? Oh, yes. Some that used it were so far in the darkness and deception of the devil that they thought it was the power of God given them to exercise. They had made God altogether such as one as themselves and had valued his power as a thing of naught. I saw that the mysterious signs and wonders and false reformations would increase and spread. The reformations that were shown me were not reformations from error to truth. What is a true reformation according to Ellen White? It is a reformation from error to truth. What truth? Present truth. And where is the present truth to be found? In the most holy place. You want to know what present truth is? It's very simple. Find out where Jesus is. If you're preaching the truth of the court, and you're ignoring the truth of the most holy place, you can be preaching truth, but you're not preaching present truth, because Jesus is no longer in the court. You can be preaching the message of the holy place, that Jesus is our intercessor, like many Christians preach. It might be true, but it's not present truth. In order to preach present truth, you must preach the truth where Jesus is. And if Jesus is in the most holy